Hello and welcome to Blind and Refined, Losing My Sight, Finding My Way. I'm John, here with my guide dog Gibbs. On a personal note, 2 weeks ago, I had surgery on my mouth, and that included having my 3 front teeth removed. No, I'm not kidding. So, if my voice sounds a little different this time, well, it is a little different, but it's still me, John. What is the connection between getting lost and finding a new way forward? I'll answer that in a few moments, but first, a story. It was downtown Des Moines, Iowa. I was traveling alone, using public transportation, going to several places in the city that I had not been to before. And for reasons I will explain later, I had my eyes covered with sleep shades, so I was not able to use the little bit of sight I still had called residual sight. I'm standing at a bus stop waiting to pick up my bus. I had just gone to the second location, and I was feeling pretty encouraged about finding my way around to these new places. A gentleman walked up to me, and he asked,
"Excuse me, sir. Can I help you with something?"
I replied, "No thanks, I'm just here at the bus stop waiting for my bus." There's a little bit of a pause, and then he said,
"Well, sir, this is not a bus stop. You are standing next to a parking sign, and this is a parking lot. Can I help you get to a bus stop?"
So that's why I wasn't hearing many cars on this street. It was a parking lot. A bit sheepishly, I accepted his offer, and he helped me get to the bus stop. In another instance, downtown Des Moines, I'm making my way up to a busy intersection. I listen carefully to the traffic, waiting for the stoplight to change so I could cross the street. This street was quite different than the parking lot. There were a lot of cars on this street. I noticed something very unusual. As I was listening to the traffic, a car went by quite quickly, but the car went behind me. Now think about that. If you're on a sidewalk at the curb, getting ready to cross the street, and a car goes behind you, what is that car doing on the sidewalk? Or could it be that I was out on the street? Bummer, I was out on the street. And that gentleman in the parking lot could have been very handy at that moment. Well, I continued to listen carefully, and with my white cane out in front of me, I made my way across the other half of the street to safety on the sidewalk. What was I doing in downtown Des Moines, Iowa? And why was I getting lost? If you heard episode 3, you may recall that my wife Ann pointed out to me that I was resisting the idea of getting help for my advancing sight loss. After a lot of soul searching, I decided to pursue some training in my home state of Iowa at the State Services for the Blind. We were working in Hungary as missionaries. After a lot of discussion, an exploratory trip back to the U.S., we decided we would move our family back to the U.S. for a period of time so that I could get some training. The training involved learning Braille, learning to prepare meals, a woodworking class, and a computer class. It was so interesting to walk into the computer lab there. There were 6 to 8 computers, I think, and there were no monitors. Each of the computers was ran with screen reader technology. And there was the travel class, which helped us develop skills to get around in the city with no sight. And oh yes, every day, Monday through Friday from 8 until 4:30, except over lunch, our eyes were covered with sleep shades. A little parenthetical note, people who are legally blind often have a little bit of sight called residual sight. In our training, we wore sleep shades to help us develop skills for living with no sight. moving back to a new location in the U.S., putting our boys in a new school, living apart from each other. I would be gone Monday through Friday since I was doing a resident program. This was going to be a stretching experience for all of us. But Anne was right. I had been resisting facing my declining eyesight, and I had a sense that I needed help in preparing for blindness. So that's why I was in downtown Des Moines. That's why I kept getting lost. Getting lost was part of the process of developing new skills, but more importantly, a new mindset, a confidence that with training and tools and reasonable accommodations, I could live independently, continue to work, and make a meaningful contribution. As a blind person, it can be easy to let people do everything for you, to play it safe. My experience in that training impressed on me that it is good to push myself, to walk towards challenges. I'm not talking about being reckless or endangering myself. The path towards growth always includes seasons that stretch us, that make us uncomfortable at times. Getting lost was part of learning to find a new way forward. And getting lost is still a part at times of learning to find my way. Note, I'm introducing this idea of challenging ourselves in episode 7, refining. If it yields good results, typically takes time, planning, and preparation. So, yes, we need to challenge ourselves. But I suggest that as you challenge yourself, as you walk towards challenging situations, that you keep in mind the subjects that were mentioned in the earlier episodes. And I'm going to summarize those here briefly. Make sure you have supportive relationships. Keep working on that. That can make a big difference. Look around. Ask for help. Draw on the expertise of others. And if you're struggling, going through a rough season, don't just bury that. Develop healthy ways of facing and acknowledging the losses you are feeling. Let yourself grieve. And, as was mentioned in episode 6, consider tapping into the divine. That can be a game changer. And if you're feeling pretty good about what you have in place, well, maybe you need to get lost. Now, I'm not talking about trying on purpose to get lost, but you may want to consider finding ways to push yourself, to challenge yourself, and develop new skills. And along the way, you may get lost a time or two. That's okay. Well, this is my last episode in season 1. I've shared about what's helped me and what's hindered me, and I've also reflected on how those experiences have refined me. If you're living with a disability, or if you're a caregiver or a close friend of someone in that kind of condition, I want to encourage you, take some time to think about what has helped you and what's hindered you in your journey. Do you recognize any refining effects of the challenge that you've been facing? Write those thoughts down, and I would encourage you, share those with a friend. You may want to encourage a friend to listen to these podcasts and then come together and share about your experience, what you've learned and what they've learned. That could help someone else really grow in their understanding of you and your experience. And I have a request, if I may. As we wrap up season 1, I would ask that you think about if you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback for us as we think about ideas for a season 2. We would really be glad to hear from you. You can reach us at blindandrefined@gmail.com. Blind, A-N-D, refined @gmail.com. blindness.com. Gibbs, anything you want to add? Yeah, buddy, it is kind of sad to wrap things up, but it's been good to collaborate on this with you. Also, please click like, write a comment, or a review if you have some positive feedback to give us. Help get the word out about Blind and Refined. So you've been listening to Blind and Refined. This is John with Gibbs. Thank you for joining us.